Have audio yet? Hopefully we do. And welcome to the kitchen, everybody. I've got a new toy. I've got a Bluetooth mic. Hi, Steve. How are you? And Steve, you can tell me. Can you hear me? Is the audio okay? I got a brand new microphone. So there's Richie Fano, one of my good friends. My wife is watching. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the kitchen. Tonight we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We are making, for the first time, I don't think we've made any seafood for you before, because I'm not a huge seafood guy. I like shellfish. I'm not big on fin fish. I can cook it, but I don't eat very much of it. Hi, Rob. Hi, Mar. What we're going to do is we're going to make a little bit of a variation on shrimp scampi. Comes from a very interesting source. And in fact, I want to show you this shirt. I don't know if you guys can see it. I wore my Jinko olive oil shirt. Now, if you guys are Godfather fans, you know that Jinko was the company that Don Corleone created when he first came to America. So, all right. I'm wearing that shirt for a specific reason because the cookbook I'm using tonight is called the Mafia Cookbook. And this recipe, hi Jim Hansen, how are you? This recipe was written by a guy named Joseph Iannuzzi. That's a good Italian name right there, Iannuzzi. I like him because my last name starts and ends with a vowel too. Iacchetta, our family name. Hello, Mr. Wall, how are you, Esquire? But this guy went by the nickname Joe Dogs, and he was a cook to the Mafia. And I don't endorse their activities. None of us were in the muscle side of the business, but this book is full of very simple and pretty easy recipes. Many years ago, somebody gave this to me for Christmas, and I remembered this recipe for shrimp scampi, and it's a little bit different, but I think you're going to like it. By the way, tonight I have poured myself a delicious vodka tonic. I hope that you have something to wash down the shrimp with. Tonight, in honor of my beautiful bride, I am drinking Lithuanian Gold vodka, and this was given to us by Ruta Lee for our wedding. She gave us a whole case. I don't know how many bottles we have left, but it's pretty good stuff. And Ruta, we love you. I know that you're sometimes on Facebook, and of course we send our sympathy. Your longtime husband, Webb, was just a lovely, lovely man, and we'll all miss him. But we remember you fondly for this gift. Thank you. All right, so Joe Dogs came up with this, and it's, there's some stories, and there's some recipes, and there's some stories about when he made the recipe and who he made it for. He always lists the people he was with, and I think because he was keeping a record for the FBI. It's not as good as Goodfellas, but there's some good stories in there. And, I love those mob movies. I love Goodfellas. I love The Godfather because, those scenes that center around food. And that's what Italians do. We love to feed people. If you're sad, come over, we'll feed you. Whether it's a wedding or a funeral. If you're a friend, we'll feed you. My father took my mother out on their very first date, and he made veal cacciatore for her. And that's how he reeled her in. So anyway, let's talk about the recipe. And I'm going to do two things tonight. I'm going to do some creamy polenta. So I got some polenta at the grocery store. This is just good old-fashioned Italian polenta. It is pre-cooked. And you can just pan fry it in a little olive oil and make a polenta cake. But what I'm going to do is make it a little creamier. I'm going to add the polenta to, I've put in some heavy cream and some butter. We're going to add some Parmesan cheese, and we're going to let that become nice and creamy and delicious. Maybe a little salt and pepper too. Now, butter. This I have the garlic. Just chopped it up real nice. We're going to put that in the butter and olive oil. Ooh, that's a lot of garlic. Okay, well, it's all just us tonight. That's fine. Doesn't matter how our breath smells, right? All right, I'm going to stir that around. I'm going to get the garlic going. You don't want it too hot. You don't want to scorch it. And then, instead of onion, I'm going to put a little bit of shallot in there. It's about a half a shallot that I chopped up. And if you don't want to chop a shallot, they have those nice jars. At most of the stores, you can get the jars of shallot. It's not quite as good. It's not quite as fresh, but it does come in handy, all right? And so now, I'm going to saute my garlic and my shallots just nice and easy. Again, this is a whole stick of butter and about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. As with all of my recipes, there are no hard and fast rules. If you want to change it up, change it up. I wouldn't tell Joe Dogs that you changed his recipe, but you can tell me it's fine. In fact, I'm going to do something slightly different than he did, but I think this recipe is going to turn out really good. So we're going to let that saute and just cook down just a little bit. I got it under nice medium heat, not a lot of heat. I'm going to put a little salt and pepper in there, just like that. I can't put too much pepper in because my friend Richard Herwig will freak out about that. But you know I love fresh ground pepper, and I'm going to do the same for the polenta. I'm going to serve this tonight with some sauteed green beans so that at least there's a little bit of bright color on it. And there's my cousin Michael. How are you, sir? Good to see you. The polenta is something that my wife really loves, and I like polenta. My mother loved polenta, but my mother was the southerner. My dad did not. Hey, Jan. My dad did not like polenta, and he was born and raised in New Jersey, and he moved to Virginia, went to the University of Virginia, and they served him grits the first morning, and grits and polenta a lot alike, but he said that grits felt like he was eating a warm mouthful of sand. I disagree. I love grits, but he didn't like them. But we're going to make our polenta. So we've got that going. And I've melted the butter. I've added a little cream and a little milk just to make it. Look, pardon my fingers, guys. I'm just going to put that in there and put that in there. And then I'm going to break it up and mix it up and let that become, oh, we're making a mess. So we'll get that going. You want the liquid, the butter and the cream in there and warm it up so that when you add the polenta, hey, Brett, it'll start to kind of break up and mix in. And then I'm going to add in some Parmesan cheese to the polenta in just a little bit. I'm doing green beans to add a little color to the dish. Now, I've brought my shallots and garlic and butter and olive oil up to speed. And here we have a pound of jumbo shrimp that I just caught this morning. Caught them at Gelson's. And we're going to put those in the pan. Now, this is something I do a little different than Joe Dogs did. He steamed his shrimp and then put the sauce over it. I like to cook the shrimp. I'm going to take them out, and then we'll add them back in later. But what I want to do, and I'm going to bring the camera over so you can see this, we're going to cook these shrimp in the garlic, the shallots, and the butter until they're just nice and pink. You don't want to overdo them. You don't want them to get them tough. And then we're going to remove them and reserve them and finish making our sauce. And I think you're really going to like this. This is going to be, and wait until you see what we put in the sauce. It's a little bit different. It's a lot different, as a matter of fact. But it's delicious. Now, Joe, in his book, was writing that, he had to feed guys, and often they were coming back, from a caper. Perhaps some sort of illegal activity. They were all hungry, and it was all late at night, and so he had to make kind of hearty food in a hurry. And this dish is pretty quick. So I've got the shrimp coming along. Let me see if I can get you guys in a little closer. Hello, my father-in-law Roland likes the utensils. We got some. All right, take a look at that. We're just, and I know this light is too bright. Let's do that so you can see the shrimp a little better. When I put the shrimp in, obviously the temperature of the pan goes down. I've had to bring that back up. And they're turning nice and pink. We're going to saute those. And then I'm going to add a little more butter back into the mix. Because when I take the shrimp out, some of the butter is going to go out. And so I'm going to put some more back in to make the sauce. But you'll see that in just a little bit. But I'm going to let those shrimp saute just a little bit longer. And I'm working on breaking up the polenta so it's nice and creamy. We're doing all of that all at once. These shrimp are really nice. These were jumbo, like Mexican shrimp. They're really good. You can use whatever you like. There's a little shell in them. I thought I did a better job than that of shelling them, but it's okay, no problem. All right, so what we want to do is just get the shrimp nice and pink. You don't want them all the way done or overdone because, as you know, shrimp get really tough. Meanwhile, I'm going to turn the heat up on my polenta. We're just going to keep stirring this until the polenta starts to break up and become more of a creamy texture. And so that's going to take a little while. And once we get it to the right consistency, we will add in our Parmesan cheese. So we're going to continue to do that. Now, you see the other ingredients sitting here. I don't know if you guys can see it, how well you can see it. But The interesting difference, they are ceramic pans, Mar. Thanks for noticing. I just bought them. I had old pans, and I saw these, and we both liked them. They're really pretty, and they're super non-stick, ceramic, and they're the aluminums. They heat up real nicely and easily and evenly. So I'm very pleased with this purchase. And they weren't terribly expensive. And they all came with lids, which I love. I'm going to lose all of the lids eventually. All right, we're getting the shrimp. Oh, they look really good. I want you to see this. See that beautiful pink color we're getting? Getting the light. There we go. See that? They're all coming along nicely. And in just a minute, and they don't have to be completely, I'm going to take them out, put them in the bowl over there to rest. We'll add them back into the sauce, but the sauce, of course, will continue to cook them just a little bit. And that's okay. So you want to put them back in just basically before you serve it, so that you don't overcook the shrimp. But I like the garlic and the shallot flavor on my shrimp. They're really delicious that way. And this way, the way Joe Dogs did it in his cookbook, he would actually steam or boil the shrimp, and then he would put them on rice or pasta and add the sauce. And I always thought, and I've tried it a couple of different times his way, and I always thought you're kind of missing out when you do that, because I want the shrimp to carry some of that delicious flavor along with the sauce itself. So we're just about there with the shrimp. They're a nice color. They're just about right. Let me check, see, yeah, they squeeze okay. I don't want them too hard. So now, and they've got all those little garlic bits on them, and a little bit of shallot. So that is very nice. That is just about where we want it. I think I have a slotted spoon in here somewhere. Or not. Wait, did I just see it? That'll work. Because I don't want to take out too much of the liquid. So once you get the shrimp pretty much cooked through, but not all the way done, you're going to take them out. Just put them in a bowl like I'm doing right here. And the polenta is coming up to temperature. It is starting to incorporate into the butter and cream, so we're getting close on that. I don't want to take all of my garlic and shallot and butter out of this dish, because remember, we're still going to make the sauce. But we've got a little bit of the essence of the shrimp in there. Oh, nice. Okay, and let me show you. Okay, the shrimp are just about done. So you can just about, the shrimp are not being poached, they're being sauteed. Andrew does not like poached. It's my wife talking to me. All right, we're going to cover that up. As I said, because I took some of the butter out with my shrimp, I'm going to add in probably another teaspoon of butter and bring that up to temperature. There's still a lot of the garlic and the shallot. It didn't all come out with the sauce. You see that? So that's the basis of our sauce. The polenta's come along. See, I got to break up those chunks, and it'll slowly incorporate. So yeah, we got new cookware, and I got this Bluetooth wireless microphone, which I really like, because now I don't have to worry about shouting across the kitchen. All right, let's give the polenta a stir. I'm going to need a different utensil, but that's softening up pretty nicely. And I'll cover that up in a minute and just let it simmer. I've got the butter melted back in here, so I've got a nice amount of liquid. I've still got all that garlic and all those shallots. And now for the magic ingredients. You guys ready for this? Sour cream. We're going to put about a cup of sour cream, and and we're going to put that into the dish. It's, as I said, a little different. So this is a 16-ounce container, so I only need about half. There we go. You can never have too much sour cream, but we'll try to stick with the proportions the recipe that Mr. Iannuzzi recommends. So I added that in, and never lick your fingers in the kitchen. You always have to wash your hands. So I shouldn't do that on Facebook. All right. The other thing we got, and this is just real easy. Joe didn't use a lot of really expensive ingredients. But this is just a nice little jar of snipped dried chives. So we're going to put that in. It's about a little more than a tablespoon. I'd say almost 2. I like the chives, so I'm going to add that in there. Let's come over and take a look at this wonderful dish. All right, now we're just going to give that a nice stir. All right, so what you want to do is incorporate the sour cream into the butter, the olive oil, the garlic, the shallots. Let the chives blend in beautifully. So you're going to get a really interesting and slightly different flavor than your traditional shrimp scampi, okay? And I didn't poach them. I just sort of sauteed them a little bit in the butter and the olive oil with my delicious garlic and shallots. So the shrimp already are bearing that flavor. And we're just going to continue to stir this until it all mixes in. I'm going to bring the heat up just a little bit, but I don't want to bring it up too much. You don't want to boil this. You just want a nice slow simmer on this sauce. So we're going to continue to do that. The sour cream will have a tendency to kind of separate out a little bit. Mike, the garlic does smell great. So this is looking good already. I brought the heat up just a little bit more, and I really like these pans. They heat up pretty quickly, and they hold their heat, which is nice. Hello, Guinness. How are you? I don't know if you guys can see Guinness. He's right behind me. All right. So we got that going. I'm going to cover it and let it come up to speed. I'm covering the shrimp. And now we're going to work on breaking up the polenta and making it nice and smooth. And if necessary, I've got the plunge. I don't think it's going to be necessary. I've got my plunge blender, but I don't think we're going to need it. So I'm going to stir this around, and what you want to do is just get those chunks of polenta that I put in, and I probably could have chopped that up a little finer before I put it in. But you brought up the temperature. This is, butter, cream, and a little milk, salt, and pepper. So we're going to continue to just stir this around until that cornmeal, that wonderful polenta, and that's already pre-cooked. If you get that package, it is already pre-cooked. You don't have to worry about that. You could serve it right out of the package. I wouldn't recommend it that way, but you can. And what we're going to do is stir this until we get a nice creamy consistency. And like I said, if I have to, I'll break out the plunge mixer, and we'll do that. But that will really make a mess. So I think we can avoid doing that. And I broke one of my wooden spoons, and that's a vital tool in the kitchen. I need to order another wooden spoon or 2. I did not break it paddling anybody. It just, they're all old, and they get old, and they get brittle, and that was the end of it. All right, this is becoming really nice and really creamy. And, this is obviously very kind of starchy and corn goodness. So you don't need a lot. I'm just going to put a little bit of this on the plate underneath the shrimp, and I'll serve the shrimp over it. I think we're getting there on that. I want you guys to sit. Now, if it is not creamy enough, you can always add a little more cream. You can always add, in fact, I just talked myself into it. I think I'll add a little more butter in there. Just like that. Let's come over and take a look at that so you guys can see what I'm doing over here. All right, so you see how we've got a little bit more of a creamy texture, and it's starting to bubble a little bit, and I'm going to bring that heat down once I get the polenta nicely incorporated. But you can add a little milk or a little more cream. You don't have to use heavy cream. I just like to because, life's got to have a little calories to it somewhere along the way, or it's no fun. And so we're just going to stir that around. That's going to be really nice. But again, one of the things, the shrimp scampi has those chives in it, but it's when I started to do this, and it doesn't matter whether you serve it over rice or there is going to be parm. Elaine, good question. Yes, I'm going to put the Parmesan in the polenta in just a minute. I wanted to get it nice and creamy first. This is a really very bland colored meal because the shrimp is coming out in the sauce with the sour cream. So I'm going to steam and then saute some delicious green beans, and then a green salad is going to go. I've got this just about exactly where I want it. That's nice. So you asked about the Parmesan cheese. I've got, of course, the mother of all cheese, Parmigiano Reggiano. Don't get the shredded if you're cooking, okay? If you like the shredded, if you like the texture on pasta, that's fine. I don't. I like the grated. And if you're cooking, if you're doing a fettuccine alfredo or any other dish where you got to melt the cheese, you want the grated, not the shredded. And so we're going to put a little bit of that in there. Oh, that's nice. It's just so nice. All right. We'll stir that in there. So this was one of those recipes. It was really just kind of, it was a surprise. As I said, somebody gave me that cookbook, and I think sort of as half a joke, I've had it for probably 25 years. But yeah, the guy, Joe Iannuzzi, Joey Dogs, was a real guy. I don't know if he's still with us or not, and I think he turned state's witness. But he came up with some very interesting and also pretty easy recipes, a few of which I've made. I marked them, and now I'm kind of curious which ones I marked. And by the way, it's full of hilarious pen and pencil sketches. This book is it's a crack up, and it's told from his point of view. Let's see. Oh, I've got the stuffed shells with the tomato sauce. I've made that, and I was thinking about making that this evening, but my wife really said you should do a seafood dish. This one is another nice recipe. Oregati pasta with peas and prosciutto, and, again, you can see it's not a long recipe. He doesn't, these are simple dishes, and it makes it easy. Okay, here he is cooking for the boys. So anyway, I love the mob movies because it's often centered around food. You see all those delicious dishes, and then you can make some at home. Now my polenta is up to speed. I am going to throw just a little bit more milk in there because I want it a little creamier. And I'll show you the sauce that we've got, or the consistency that we've got. And then we got to stir the scampi sauce. It's got sour cream in it, so you don't want it to scorch on the bottom, and it's probably scorched a little on the bottom. No, we're okay. We're okay. That smells really good. It's just going to be an interesting difference than your traditional scampi because of the sour cream and the chives. So there's no white wine in that. It is just the garlic, the shallots, the butter, a little olive oil, and then the sour cream. As I said, I sauteed or poached the shrimp. My wife says I poached them. I sauteed them in the pan with the butter and the olive oil, so it has a little bit of that essence. Okay, let's take a look. Kill the light. You can see the creamy, cheesy goodness of my polenta. All right, I think that looks just about where we want it. This is simmering nicely. You don't bring it to more than a boil than that. And I'm going to stir and incorporate it. I'm going to add a little bit more sour cream because, honestly, it looks like it needs a little more sour cream. So we're just going to do that. Good. Bring the heat down a little bit. I'm going to stir that in, and I'm going to let that simmer for another just a few minutes, and then we're going to roll our shrimp into that and let them come back up to temperature and sort of finish cooking. As I said, I took them out. They're probably all the way done. But I'm going to throw them in the sauce and let them just simmer another couple of minutes. You don't want to get them tough. Oh, this looks really good, and it smells really good. I used salted butter, by the way. I always like to use salted butter because then I don't have to add as much salt to the dishes, and I love the flavor of salted butter, so I rarely keep unsalted butter around the house. So remember, if you are starting this, there's a whole stick of butter, and then I added about another 2 tablespoons or thereabouts. Oh, yeah, there you go. The Mafia Cookbook. You found it on Amazon. Elaine found it. Again, I lost the dust cover years and years ago, but it sits in the pantry with the rest of my cookbooks. It holds a place not exactly of honor, but not of disregard either. It's got some other pretty good recipes. And he's got a bouillabaisse, which is, basically a cioppino. It leans a little more to the French style as opposed to the Italian. It's an interesting book. There's some funny stories. Doug, aloha, how are you? Again, we're having a Lithuania vodka and tonic tonight. It was brutally hot all week long, but the excessive heat warning comes to an end tonight at 10 o'clock. It is still humid as all get out. It happens in August here in the desert. We get that. And so today's a good day to be inside and cook and have something lighter and refreshing than my normal Jack Daniels. But that Lithuanian vodka is actually really pretty good stuff. I don't know if you can find it in the States. All right, this sauce looks great. So what I'm going to do, and the polenta looks outstanding. Oh, that's really nice. There's some, they're probably going to be in the polenta. It's not exactly smooth like mashed potatoes. There are going to be some little lumps of polenta in there, but that's okay. It's a nice texture, and I think you'll like it. Brett says it's close enough to dark for a little Jack Daniels. Hi, Dana. All right, so what we're going to do, I want to show you these shrimp again. They look absolutely beautiful. Sorry, Guinness, you got to be careful. And now we're going to fold them back in. Let's see if I can bring the camera over so you can see exactly what we're doing. I'll lower it a little bit. One day we're going to get a camera operator in here, and it's going to be super fancy. I already got the microphone. All right, there we go. Now let's turn it back toward the stove. There's our scampi. Beautiful, perfect. Okay, now you've got the sour cream, the butter, the garlic, the shallots, the chives. So this is going to be a very savory shrimp scampi, a little bit different. And I'm going to add in my shrimp. A little more butter goes back in with the shrimp. You can see the garlic. We're just going to roll those in there and toss them around. And then I'm going to put the lid back on for just a couple of minutes. They're beautiful, beautiful, plump, lovely shrimp. And these were, the fresh frozen Mexican shrimp. They catch them and bring them in. Gelson's always has but you can get great seafood pretty much anywhere these days. I just shopped at the Gelson because it was close to home. I was on my way home. So there we go. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? I think it's going to be very, very tasty. I'm not going to plate it up for you because I'm going to let those cook just a little bit more. But that is our recipe. And as Elaine Ewing, who was watching, just found out, the book is available on Amazon still. It is called the Mafia Cookbook. It is by Joe Iannuzzi. So if you want a chuckle, there's some kind of serious stories in there, but it's pretty funny. So tonight for dinner, we've got the creamy polenta, which is made with a little Parmesan cheese, fresh cream, Italian polenta, butter, and then we've got that marvelous shrimp scampi, a little different take with the sour cream and the chives. So it's just a little bit of a different flavor profile, but it's something fun and different that you can try at home. And again, there are no hard, fast rules. Cook it the way you like it. That's our recipe from In the Kitchen tonight. You have that cookbook, Rosalind. It's page 32. Go to page 32. I'll show you guys before we duck out. There's the shrimp scampi. And, this story, it's not a great picture. You can't see Joe because he's in the middle. He's in the centerfold there. But that's him cooking for, I think it is the Colombo crime family out of Brooklyn. And he says that present for this dinner, Joe Dogg's Tommy Agro, Jigs Furlano, who was the Colombian boss, and Bobby Amiello, and a guy named Rabbit Fusco. I don't know if those guys are still around. And Bobby Amiello's nickname was Bobby Anthony because, why not? Anyway, that's our recipe tonight. Shrimp scampi a la Joe Dogg's, and I think you'll want to try it out. It's going to be delicious. I'm looking forward to it. You guys have a great rest of your week. My bride and I are going to sneak away for the weekend. We're really excited about that. Of course, I'll be back on News Channel 3 first thing tomorrow morning and on Monday. So you guys enjoy the rest of your evening and try out the recipes. Remember that I'm putting them on my YouTube channel. You can go to that. It's got all of the previous videos, and I'm trying to populate the recipes as well so you can see those. And you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. And that way, whenever I post a new recipe, you'll get notice about it. And then you don't have to scroll through my Facebook page to find it. They're all right there. On the YouTube channel, I think it's called Patrick Evans Cooking. So thanks for joining me in the kitchen. You guys have a great rest of your Thursday. And mangia molto bene. Buonanotte.